Like the saying goes, when you educate or give awareness to people, you are replacing an empty mind with an open one. Welcome to yet another interesting episode of Mata Africa. I'm Zoira Hamza. Today we'll be looking at the increased rate of divorce and the place of the society in it. And discussing this topic with me is a consultant. She is the founder of Heal the Youth Foundation. She is Mrs. Aji Robinson. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Please, can you give us a brief introduction of your organization?
Okay. Heal the Youth Foundation was founded in 2003, and it was based on the need to respond to the need of young people growing up, with the right information so that they can make well-informed decisions and realize their full potentials in life. And through the years, we have evolved through that, and we have a vision that says we want to have a healthy, empowered people having equal opportunity. So this organization has been set up since that time to this time, and we've been doing that through many different thematic areas. We do that through our health thematic focus. We also do that through our empowerment. We do that through the civic engagement, and we do orphans and vulnerable children. That response is also different. It has its own standards, which are about 7, and we respond to children who are often underprivileged in the society. So, and this organization has been there since that time, and we work in the north central area of Nigeria.
Okay, now, coming to the area of you being a consultant, you have gotten so many privilege to deal with maybe single ladies,
yes.
Or would you share some of their experience as being single?
Okay. Today, you can say that Nigeria has an almost estimated population of about 200 million people. And National Bureau of Statistics told us that about that number, we have 46.44 who are unmarried. That is the number of people that are unmarried. Then we have 50.0.1 who are married. About 0.18% are, they are divorced. About 0.1 are, widowed. So if you have those kind of numbers, 46.6 is like half the number of people who are unmarried. And you can see that we have a lot of young people who are among those level, among that group, and we have people that are still looking for, companionship. Human beings in life have been made not to live on their own. From creation, from time, God made man to have companionship. When the only thing that God said, coming from the perspective of religion now, I'm a Christian, so let me talk on the aspect that I know a bit. From that perspective, we were told that the only thing that God said was not good in all his creation. Created the birds, the mountains. The only thing that he said was on when he created man alone. And he saw that the man was lonely, meaning that he needed a companion. And that need made it in such a way that singleness is a place where people are always looking for that fulfillment of that companionship, that love, that thing, that makes life complete. So that is the state of singleness at that period. And you find out that those periods come with a lot of challenges, come with a lot of things, but of course, it's a stage that people should begin to embrace. People, like young people, should embrace that stage, because the stage of learning is a place of learning for them. They can learn all they can learn, build themselves, build their career, and in that phase, it was when Adam was walking in the garden that companion. So if you're working, you're doing things, fulfilling your purpose in life, find out who you are. Be yourself. Build yourself in that stage. And in that stage, God will ensure that that person that will fulfill that companionship, that love, every human being needs love. That's the Just like you see, they say roses cannot do without rain, right?
Yes.
They cannot try. That is how human beings are made. We thrive on love.
Okay.
So,
Now looking at the place of the society
yeah.
and the women, most importantly the women.
Yeah.
Society these days, as in, they found out single ladies not getting married. When you get to a certain stage and you're not yet married, the society start asking you question. You become, in fact, your self-confidence tends to decrease.
Yeah.
So what would you say?
You see, the society is evolving actually. The society is evolving. We know because family holds one of the building blocks of life. And in our society, in the African context, families or marriage or whatever is seen as the foundation where families begin to evolve.
Yes.
So when a woman begins to get to a certain stage, because God has made us with a clock in our body, so people begin to look like, oh, what are you doing? Can a woman go out in our society say she wants to see any man on the street and just say, be my husband? No, it doesn't work that way. But the mindset of society needs to begin to change because times and seasons have changed. Things are evolving. Careers are evolving. People want to go to school, like women will go to school. And before you come out of school, sometimes you get to that stage where you have reached that mature stage. And that's the time you want to start having relationship to go into that marital stage. It's still a good place. But the thing is, mindsets of the African context needs to change because times have changed. We're entering the 21st century and people can find themselves. Even who says that a 90-year-old woman cannot fall in love? It's something that is built in. It's in our gene. That feeling of companionship in our gene. At any stage in life, anybody can find, companionship that will last forever, even if you're 90 years old. Yes. So it's not something that because somebody is single that should be quoted as if the person is an outcast or anything. No. It's just a stage in life. It's a phase that definitely will pass. And I'm sure if you build yourself, you know who you are, you're assured of yourself, it doesn't matter. Even if that person doesn't come to say, okay, I want to live with you for the rest of my life. It's a stage. Not everybody must get married. Not everybody will be single. Not everybody. Some people are in the marriage and they want to come out. They want to be single. So every situation has their own challenges. It's how you manage through those challenges, those periods, that singleness, that marriage, that even divorce stage that you are in, that will enable you to fulfill. Life is about being fulfilled, finding your purpose.
Yes.
It's not about, see, the mistake people make is that they feel that you find love or you find happiness in another person. No, you don't find it. Even if you marry, if you're not happy with yourself, you don't love yourself, you don't do all these things, you can't find it in another person because you're two different people.
Yes.
You understand? You're two different people. You come with your own two different experiences, come in with your two different values, you come in, but of course clarifying all those things in the times of courtship will make that relationship work. But it doesn't mean that being single is anything. Everybody has their own situation. Singleness have their own situation. Married people have their own situation. People that are divorced have their own situation. So it depends on how you manage those stages in your life. I was single once. I managed through, and I was married. I didn't marry quite early, but of course I was single before. But it's your ability to stay true to yourself that matters a lot. Staying true with yourself, knowing who God shaped you to be. Earlier on, I was discussing how God shaped us to be. You can't recoin yourself, but finding how God shaped you, your purpose, your values, your vision. What is it you came to this world to do? Finding them at those stages of singleness will help you cope with singleness. And it wouldn't matter what anybody says about you. I keep saying, whether you are alive, people will talk about you.
Definitely.
You're dead, People will talk about you. You're doing great.
People talk
About you. You're not doing great. So what is your choice in this situation? Just be yourself. Be who you are. Be happy with yourself. Build yourself. Empower yourself. Become that person God wants you to be. And whatever people say wouldn't matter because people will always talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coming back to your foundation,
Yes.
Build a Youth Foundation.
Yeah.
You said you deal mainly with the northern part.
No. I said we have structures in the north central area. Or it doesn't mean that we don't work in other parts of. We can have projects in Port Harcourt and we'll go and implement it. But we have most of our structures mostly based in the north central. Yes.
Okay, talking about capacity building.
Yes.
How far have you gone in transforming the lives of young people, especially women?
Especially women.
Yes,
Wow.
young ladies.
I cannot begin to. Young ladies. Okay. In the course of our work, we come in contact with young people. Sometimes we call young people 0 to let's say 15 to 19. UN says 19. Some people in USA is 14 to 18 years old. That's the young people. But youth in general, what we do is that we build their capacity in different forms. Okay. What we do is that first of all, before we even engage with you, we find out what your needs are. Yeah. We carry out an assessment first to know what will you be good at. We don't just say we just streamline. Oh, capacity building on market bookmaking for everybody. No, nobody has their strength. Like I said, everybody is shaped differently. So we carry out some assessments first. Say, what are you good at? What can we improve on? Then when we improve on that, when we find out what your needs are, sometimes we link people, with other institutions that have instituted learning schools. Maybe if you want to do carpentry, you want to do whatever, we link you up to that. But what we do, we build capacities also around areas of life skills, coping mechanism, you understand? Self-esteem, people having self-esteem, because like you said, the singleness sometimes, when you go through a lot of relationships, you find that people, young men and young men, they will lose self-esteem because of the experiences they have. We do those kind of capacity building to ensure that people have confidence in themselves. They call them life skills. Life skills, survival skills are different. That's with on hands, maybe you go and use computer literacy. We did that also we had a capacity building center in Kuje. Then when we were training young people coming out of school at that time, when we knew that they would start doing their exams on computers, and most young people didn't have computer literacy. So we set up that school, and young people from secondary school will come, do 3 months internship, and go out. 3 months internship and go out. We did that also. We also train people in agricultural sector, and climate smart agriculture, how you can do greenhouse farming. We train young people in that one too, also women in that. We also train women on how to do value chain in agriculture, how to be able to give services, even if you're not farming, those value chains, whatever it is that is around your area, maybe they're doing rice there. What are the things that are in value chain that you can provide services in? We train women to be able to engage with that. And truly, through our programs, I can say that we have reached more than, how many households? 2,000 households with skills in different learnings. And women, I can tell you today, you can investigate it. People that were poor have been brought out of poverty through our organization.
Your organization, did you just do, is it free?
Yes, most of our services are free because sometimes we get funding from the United Kingdom and USAID. We get funding from government to do this training. Okay. So when we're giving it to the beneficiaries, they're usually free. But you must, because we don't just we don't just do training because you need training. Like I said, we do assessment to find out that this is the training you actually require. This is training you, then we now engage and do those trainings for you. So most of the time they are free actually, because somebody else. But what is free is not usually free because somebody is paying for it. Yes, somebody is paying. The United Nations, they pay for it, depending on the donor that is sponsoring us at that particular time. So sometimes we do them free. They come free to the beneficiaries, but of course somebody is paying for it.
Okay. Now, you have a foundation that has lasted from 2013 till today.
Yeah.
What about it? Did you just what led to Heal the Youth Foundation?
That's a very good question. You're taking me back. Well, where I started from Plateau State actually. I grew up in a place where I found out that young girls didn't have information about reproductive, their reproductive health system and all that. So you find out young girls, you find out in Plateau State then the statistics was 6 girls in 10. You find out that one of them has been pregnant and has a child in secondary school, in junior secondary school, maybe in JS1, JS2. And when you interact, they did not have they've never having a conversation around sex was like taboo. So they never heard the information. And that need propelled me to say that I wanted to give this information so that you can, there will be high retainership in school for young girls, because you find that once they miss that opportunity, they don't go back. And education is key for somebody to reach his potential. You see what I'm talking about? So we found a way of reintegrating those young people after they've given birth to their children. We find a way of reintegrating them back to school so that they can continue their school education. And that's how we started. And now, this is where we are today. So that's what actually made me to begin to have this organization, and that's where we are today.
Okay, now, you have a non-governmental organization. What are the constraints?
Mostly the constraints are funding, because funding doesn't just fall on your lap, because you have an organization. Funding is a major problem. Then retainership of qualitative staff is one of the key problems, because if you don't have funding, you won't be able to actually keep qualitative staff within your organization. So with that kind of challenge, it's very, 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 very tough, when you don't have funding to run it. But when you build yourself, you build the organization's capacity, because there's something they call organizational structural capacity. When you build it, you keep searching for funding. And I'm sure it has paid off in the past. Sometimes the funding comes, sometimes it doesn't come, but we still sustain it in such a way that we're able to stay through, even when there's no funding. When the funding comes, we take up from there.
Okay.
So,
now, going back to you being a consultant.
Yes, ma'am.
You have had interaction with most divorced or ladies are planning to go into the divorce process.
Yes.
How is their experience? What are their fears? Mostly concerning the society.
So the fears about it is the view of the society, because society, especially in an African setting, they frown at people that, especially women. It's more on the woman. It's now they have the gender perspective in it. They say, okay, because the woman might be a bad woman. That's why she's unable to keep her home. So that's why she was something. Sometimes, but usually, for somebody to come to the point where divorce is being talked about, there must be some salient issues that did not happen from the beginning. You understand? That was not clarified, that is coming to this point that divorce is being talked about. One is that maybe you came into the marriage, you didn't clarify some things, you didn't really investigate who that person is, you didn't really know who the person is, and you come and see maybe the person was a drug addict, and that person was able to hide it throughout the, so there are many causes of divorce. You can't really begin to say that, and people try to cope with those issues within their own. But there are some divorce cases that you actually advise that it was better that the people separated, because if it comes to the issues of violence, there are people, many women and many men too now, that are in violent relationships. For those relationships can lead to death. There's no need people coming together, even though they say till death do you part, then the other person must not kill the other person for you to do part. You can actually find ways of reconciling or going your own ways. We don't advise that marriage in violence people in marriage that is violent should seek support, so that counseling can come in. Then fears of family rejection is some of the things that make people also hide their pains. They don't want to comment. They don't want societal views or saying, like I said, people always talk. Yeah. But it is you that knows where the shoe is paining you. If you know that you are in a relationship, marriage relationship, which is contractual, which has gone into a permanent relationship for the rest of your life, or till one person dies, or like the legally married people, they say when you marry legally, you are given the option of death or divorce, right? It is in the Christian faith that says that no, you cannot be divorced. It is permanent till your death, right? Till one other party dies. But if you are in that kind of relationship and you know that there is an issue, do not think societal views should not keep you in that marriage. No matter how the views are, no matter how strong they seem, because life cannot be replaced. You understand?
Yes.
So people that are in violent relationships or in relationships that have very let's call it abusive relationship. It can be psychological, it can be emotional, it can be physical. Those abuse. Once you find out that you're in that relationship, please seek help. And there are so many organizations that can give that kind of counsel so that you can be talked to. Sometimes the church can help. If you are in the church, sometimes in the Islamic faith, they say you can go to the imam. They have a way of reconciling in the Islamic, way, and you can seek the courts if those are not working. Sometimes in the olden days, it was the family and the society, the family comes in, the family of the man, the family of the woman comes in to try to reconcile the two. That doesn't work. They escalate it to the Oba or to the chief. But that society, that is beginning to fade away until you go to the, very remote areas. Those customs are beginning to fade away. But for now, you can actually you can actually seek the help of the state through the social development secretariat or councils in your state. They have welfare departments and gender departments that deal with that. So people that are in that state should look for help, and there's help available. People should not remain in marriages because of what people's view or societal view.
Okay.
That's my option on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just talked about society view.
Yeah.
In your own option,
Yeah.
or your own opinion, do you think society view are one of the reasons why we're actually in a let's say in a society whereby people actually fear to speak out?
Yes. Yes, it's one of it. Strongly believe so. Especially in our African setting. It's one of the things that hold people back. You find out that, let's give an example of, let's say in a relationship where you find out that you married an abuser, a child molester. Because it's happening now, we're seeing it more in our work. Your husband will prefer to molest the children. And because of views outside, you don't want your people to view you as, this family. They will tag you a name. You keep and you allow. It has happened. We've seen it in movies. Those are are real stories. We have those stories. Just that we cannot reveal the names because, of course, we've signed contracts with them. But it is happening. So because of that, the man will molest the children, molest you, molest any girl, child that comes into the home. And you will. Why? Views outside. Most people keep quiet because of the views of how, but we thank God with the present awareness that is coming on people are really aware of the need to speak out. You find out that sometimes you even take them, you escalate these issues, you take them to the state, that is the social development and welfare, to intervene, or the gender department. You find out when they get to that point, the women now, or the families will not say, no, please don't, we don't want any, they hold you back and you're unable to help, and they go back to that situation and the children continue to suffer, the household continues to, what kind of children are you bringing out from those homes? Do you get? So that's the society that we're living in because of perceptions. What people say actually make people, and because of that, you're afraid when your children go out, they'll be stigmatized. Because they will be. But it's the ability, but when you seek help, we are able to counsel that woman, that child, to come out of that stage and be able to hold her own, to live in this world a very productive person. We have seen them. Some of them have grown to open their own NGOs to speak around those issues that have happened to them. But if you don't seek that mechanism, you can die. And your children will be deprived of fulfilling their potential. No matter what you do, those people will be deprived once they don't get counseling that they need and require in life. So that is my opinion about it. Yes, societies, views about societies really, really shape the way we make decisions about issues that have to do with our lives.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's go on a quick break. Please go nowhere. Welcome back, and if you're just joining us, this is Matter Africa on Television Nigeria. Today we're talking on the high rate of divorce and the place of the society in it. And my guest is Mrs. Aji Robinson, the founder of Heal the Youth Foundation. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Now, before we went to the break, I wanted to find out, is there any allocation for non-profit, non-governmental organization? Like
From where?
from the government? Are there any allocation?
Well, if there were, we're not so aware of it, but of course, we are non-governmental.
Okay.
However, we partner with government to do a lot of work. Sometimes they can have activities or projects that they know that it's beyond the capacity of government to implement by itself.
Okay.
They seek our support. Through also, they do the same thing. They do partnership. They do granting also. They seek organizations that are credible to work with them. So yeah, you can say there is funding. However, it depends on the government agency. Maybe it has put it in their budget to work with non-governmental organizations. And once they find those organizations responding in that area of concern, they will look for the NGOs or non-governmental organizations to work with. So you can say, yeah, there's a bit of it, but it depends on the government policies, government programs, and if they wish to work with non-governmental organizations like that. However, sometimes we come in, because of our expertise in some areas, we do some consultancies for them.
Okay.
They seek our consultancy in developing some of the programs and ensuring, because we are more closer to the community people,
Yes.
and they know by going in directly to work with them gives them a little bit trust, from the people and the government to breach that trust level. they come and work with us so that we can talk with the people to accept the programs that they are bringing. So yeah, we work in partnership with them. But however, we're non-governmental. So because we're non-governmental, we don't. If you keep accepting money, can you actually ask the person that is funding you to do what it's supposed to do? We are a voice for the voiceless, for the masses, for the community people. We are the ones that speak on behalf of the people that cannot speak and say, government, hey, you budgeted 20 million for this work. Where is it? We ask the questions so that government can implement what it says to do. But if we keep collecting money from them, we won't be able to do that. So there's a way we partner to do work with them. So yeah, there's a way we do that. And so yes, they have some funding, but they don't fund us to do our work. So that's why we get most of our fundings from donor agencies. Yeah, we get most of our fundings from donor agencies.
So yearly, how often do you organize programs?
Yeah, like for us, we develop our strategic plan. We usually develop 3-year strategic plan. Right now we have a 3-year strategic plan. And it is from that 3-year that we keep drawing programs from. So based on those thematic areas I told you from the beginning, the health, civic education, orphans and vulnerable. So we have it every year now. We draw out 1-year plans for each of the year that we find ourselves and implement those plans that are inside those yearly we call them implementation plans. So we have those plans in place and we draw our programs to do all these programs in this area of work. Sometimes we don't have the cash, we don't have the funding. We share these plans with even donors, even government, to see if they have something in similar that we have programmed to say we want to do this thing. So when they see that, say, okay, these people can do this. Oh, let me call them for an interview. They call us and they say, okay, can you do this? Can you do this? That's how we also do partnerships, and we take it to another partner, public, private, and that's they call it public and private sector. We also share those plans with them. Okay, they want to fund us. They want to have programs with us. We talk about it and they fund us to do some of it. Sometimes they're just one-off programs. Sometimes they are 1 to 3 years programs. So depending on what the donor wants to do with you. Yeah.
Now on a lighter note.
Yeah.
What are your advice to young ladies out there that are aspiring to be better individuals in the society, but are lacking, but don't know how to go about it?
Okay. Single ladies, right?
Single, married.
Married, okay. Generally is life is not static. Human beings are not static. We're a species that move, and because we move, we must keep evolving, right? We have to evolve. We have to keep evolving. How do we evolve? Check yourself. What are the things you want to do in life? Are you doing them? What can you do about it? Let's say you want to have an increased knowledge in an area of your life. I like making dresses. Perhaps you know how to do tailoring. What stops you from learning how to do it better, to become a designer? So putting it, having how will I call it, a goal for life. You have to make goals for yourself in every area of your life. Create goals. Make a big goal that is bigger than you, and begin to, bring them out little by little. Like I said, we have a strategic plan. It's a very large document. We can't implement it all, but for each of these, we have objectives. We bring them in smaller pieces in trying to achieve one step at a time. But don't say I'm old. Don't say I'm too young. Just start somewhere. Start somewhere. Start learning. Read books. Get mentors in the area of your interest. If you're interested in politics, get a woman that is in politics. You don't have to meet her in her house. Follow her. We have many mediums where you can follow her. You can follow her on Twitter, follow her, read news. My problem with young people is that they don't read. You know, in Nigeria, they say if you want to hide information, you should put it anywhere. You should put it in a book. Young people don't want to read. There are so many information. You want to increase your capacity. Read books. Like I tell myself, in every year, I give myself assignment. I go and invest in books. And there was a time I told myself I need to read. If I want to become one of the top 10 consultants, I must read like a top 10 consultant. I must read widely. So I have a range of many books that I read. Every year I buy books to read. How many young people can invest in that? As the same way you're investing in shoes, invest in so that you can evolve. Get more information about that area you have interest in. You want to be a designer of wristwatch? Get into it. Nothing stops you. Nothing can stop you. You can only hold yourself back. When you're trying to point your finger there, just do like this.
Point it back at yourself.
Punch it back at yourself. What am I doing now that will take me to that place? So write very big goals. Then you start
one step
at a time to reach that goal. You might think it's too late, but I'm telling you, at the end, when you start it and you see the effect, you will know that you're not the same way. There's a post I saw someone say, you should not be afraid of today, but you should be afraid that you still see yourself next year in the same spot where you are today. It's a very amazing post, because if you find yourself exactly where you are next year, then that means you're not progressing. Yeah, so you can begin to do small things. By the time you reach next year, you find out, I did all this. So make a plan. Get a plan. Get a book. Give it a name. My idea book, my purpose book, my solution book, my dream book. Call it anything. And begin to write out, say, my goal is to travel to 300 countries in 3 years. I'm telling you. You start investigating, what do I need to do to get in there? I might not have the money, but maybe if I become a air hostess, I might be able to travel. My dream has come true, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you investigate, how do I become a nice hostess? How do I become an hostess? What do they do? What do hostesses do? Start checking their lifestyle. Get somebody that has been a top hostess before. Read about her life. What did she do? How did she become a top hostess? Make her your mentor. Get her picture. Put it in your room and say, I want to be like you. I'll be greater than you. Tell yourself, I'll be greater than you. Talk to her. You don't have to talk to her. Now we have communication, Instagram, whatever. She might be there. Facebook, she might be there. Follow her. And you will be surprised at where it will take you to. You might not be in the next year, but you have begun to learn some things. You might not be on the plane, but you might be able to give advisory. Somebody will seek that advice and somebody will pay for that information you have gained in that place. And you become an asset because you have a voice. Why? Because you learned and you become important to those people that need that information. Like I said, everybody was meant for something. And there are people waiting for you to stand up so that they can follow you. And if you don't stand up, those your followers, they're dead though. Because they are in your line of purpose. And you must stand up to lead them. And you must speak. You must find that voice. And nothing should stop you from finding that voice to become that person God has created you to become.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much. Yes. And that's the much we have on today's episode of Marta Africa. We've heard it. Everybody is shaped differently. Find your passion and pursue it. I'm Zoera Hamza. Bye for now.